Okay, I'm going to try to create a video, actually a tutorial, so that I can remember how to transfer information basically to create a YouTube video from my Dell using Vegas Movie Studio, which I can do the renderings at that point, transfer them on over to the Apple G4 and use Media 100 to utilize all the transitions and sound and music, which is a little better than taking that and making it a QuickTime movie to bring it back over to the Dell to upload it from the to YouTube. The reason I'm doing this is that it seems that I can't always remember from one point to the next exactly which ones I use, so hopefully I can create this tutorial so I can utilize it for myself, for Allison or Leonora if they choose to do it as well. Okay, here we go. Okay, the first thing that I like to do is pull the files, and I like to put them on a USB drive. It's a little easier to work with, that way I don't have the flip camera on all the time. That way I also, when I start uploading it up to the Vegas Movie Studio, it's just on this, and I also, when that's completed and it's rendered, then I put it, I can use this USB on the Mac as well. So we're going to do that first, is to pull the information that we have on the flip and put it here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward and see if we can create this video. As I told you earlier, I basically have put it here on my USB, just moved the files over there from my flip, so we have all the files in here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go first to Vegas Studio, and we're going to name the project name, and we're going to browse this time. We're actually going to put it in the E drive just because it's a little quicker. Okay, and we're going to name it Tutorial QuickTime. Let's call it QuickTime How To. And we're going to click Next. There again, we want to make sure it's in the NTSC format, which is for America and also Japan. Want to make sure it's an internet video widescreen, because this is a larger format. It's the actual 16.9 format that we're now using, and we are going to say finish. So there we have it. Don't really need to go through this little tutorial. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to render this video clip that we have off YouTube. It just makes it a little easier when you transport it on over to the Mac. So all we have to do at this point is just drag it down right over here to video, as you can see it, and there it comes, just so you can see there's video as well as the voice. Let's move it down to video. There we go. And we're going to go to make a movie. We're going to save it to my hard drive. In this case, you can see that I have it in the E drive. A lot of times I'll put it in the F drive, but we're going to just go straight across. And we're going to go ahead, and it is set up just so we can see it. The audio is at 44 megahertz. It's at 16-bit, which is still stereo. The video is coming at 29.97 frames per second, and it is an uncompressed video at 640 over 360. Those are real important to make sure those are set. If they're not, you have to literally go into the project and set it up that way. But we're going to go ahead and hit next. This is our defaulted settings at this point. And you can see the rendering is beginning to take place right on up here, and we will go ahead and pause the video for a second just so you can see. It's taken a little over 13 minutes. It'll probably be about 15 minutes before it's all done. We're 96% of it being converted to a QuickTime movie, basically being rendered. But I just wanted to make the point of seeing that, you know, the clips can be relatively short, but to render them, and particularly at the resolution that we're going, because we need the high one when we start transferring back and forth. Here we're up to 14 minutes at this point, and we're at 97% of it being completely rendered. Okay, the process is complete. It pops it right on up here, and we can either play the file directly from here if you want to do that, and you can see when you open it up, that's one way of doing it. And it will basically go to the E drive, and you can see that it is now the complete format of the 16.9. And one of the things that's a very good thing to check out, just so that we have, is check out Project Inspector. And you can see the Project Inspector talks about what the format is. That's what's really key. And what I have found, that once I put it onto the USB port and import it, it always comes to this. When I've done it straight across, it's given me a little bit more of a hassle, and I land up getting a 4.3 format. So it takes a little extra time, but the end result is that we get the 640 by 360 pixels. I want to show too just a quick thing here. We're going to say finish on this. If you go to look at it right off of the E drive itself, here it is in removable E. There it is. This is the render itself that we're working on. So that's the other way that you attach it, and frankly that's how we are going to import it directly from the to the Mac. And again, if you just open it up here, there it is again. Okay. Real quick lesson here. In the event that you're not certain of the project properties, go to Projects, and if you go down all the way here to Properties, there it is. And this is real key, because at this point it shows you all the different kind of properties you can do. I leave it right here at the Internet 360 by 300 and by 30p. That's the one that we want to use at all times. So I pretty much start all the new projects at that point, because this is going to be the way we're going to utilize it. So there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and input another one, and then we are going to go on over to the Mac to transfer it over. But one last thing, so that you're just not piling them up here and you're doing single clips, I go to the actual video there and I cut it. I do not delete it, but I cut both the video and the audio, and then I pull in the second video that I want right there. There it goes. Comes up, and then we will go ahead and make the movie, save it to the hard drive. We know that we are in drive there, and I always have to change this because it will default to the second one or to the first one. So it's QuickTime How To, and I'll use the number 2. Click Next, and here we go. Next thing we'll do is transfer this information to the Mac. Okay, we're now over at the Mac, and the first thing that I wanted to point out is that we now have the data on the USB thumb drive, and so we plug that little baby in, and there it pops up there at this point, and you can see that we have our QuickTime renders, and if we brought it on over, it should pop up, and sure enough, there it is. So we do know that we have crossed over. So now we're going to go ahead and put it into the Media 100, which is by far the more superior. There's Media 100, and we're going to start off by creating a new project, and at this point we're just going to call this project QuickTime, and we are going to save it in RAID 1, which is a hard drive when we save it. There you go. Now this is very important because we have it in the RAID. You can see that we have the little thumb drive up here, the regular hard drive, and what we want to make sure is that we are clicking on, let's put this more in the center and let's zoom in just a little bit. Let's see it a little better. And there you go. And we want to make sure that our video is checked, our audio is checked, our transitions or special effects are checked, and of course our graphics. And we're going to hit OK. And sure enough, we've now got our QuickTime project, which is coming up right there. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure all of our project settings are correct, and by doing that we're going to go to Media 100, Project Settings, Media Destinations, which we already did, RAID 1, Video, Audio, Special Effects, and Graphics. We're also going to go to Preference, and I just normally go to General at this point because it gives me everything that I need. The big one is Hardware. I leave Component at this point. There's our NTSC. We're doing it at 16.9. our 16.9 inches ratio, of course, is for HD. The format turns out to be in 720 by 486, which is large enough. I leave it as analog. We can go into doing stereo and so forth, but analog is really the direction we want to do. The sample rate for audio is at 48,000 hertz, and we really don't have to worry too much about the devices down here because that's really for another program. So we now hit OK. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do, since we already have our project up here, you can actually see the monitor. It's a little hard there, but you can see the monitor is set up for 16.9 ratio. I also go in there and I want to set up a new program, file, new program. There's the new program, as you can see it. We want to change it to the same program, so you go file, save program as, and we just click right here, QuickTime program, save it. Want to create a bin, file, new bin. Normally I set up quite a few of them, but in this case we're just going to set up the video one for this, but a lot of times I save one for still photos as well. So save as, save bin as, and I'm going to save this bin as QuickTime bin. Save it, and there you have it. So last one that I work on is setting up the tracks. So you have to click on the program, and the tracks basically is for audio and video. And what I've been doing just to make my life a little easier is I go ahead and set up 2 graphics tracks in case I want to put titles, and the other one for audio I do now use 6. There we go. Sorry about that. 2 graphics and 6. And the reason I'm doing 6 is that a lot of times I want to put music behind my videos, so it just kind of works out a little better. Okay, let's go ahead and open that up just so you can see it. Now there's our QuickTime bin, and this is really where it all happens. If you click on your QuickTime and you head on up here, and we're going to import off the thumb drive. Okay, now the real trick comes in is to importing from the thumb drive. So you basically go here to your QuickTime bin, file, import. There's our thumb drive, QuickTime how-to, next to our renders, and there's our QuickTime movies. And the first one we're going to do is number 1, point out a few things here. This will only work if you put it into Media 100, which is QuickTime. Don't really have to worry too much about the still frames because, you know, this is basically 30 frames per second. The audio, we are going to convert it back to 48 megahertz, and we're going to honor the file aspect. So that's important. So here we go, and we're going to import, and if everything goes, we should have a little bar up, and it is now bringing in the video that we have on the thumb drive. This will take a little bit of time, but once we get to, you can see it moving pretty quickly with the audio side, but once it hits the video, it will take a little bit of time. Okay, they have both rendered into the QuickTime bin. So now we're actually ready to put them in the timeline, and this is where the big plus is with Media 100. Is it certainly has a lot better transitions, and it really can put a lot of our sounds and so forth like that. So there's my kitty cat. Let's see what we can do here in a second. Okay, this is really the place that is beneficial to have the number of tracks, if you recall where I set it up. So we have 2 graphics tracks and 6 audio tracks, and of course the video track itself. And this is why we need to do that, because as we drag down, let's make sure this is the correct one. It is. First video, you can certainly see that we have the video track, we have the 2 audio tracks there as well. So, just for the heck of it, let's make sure that we got it going here.
Okay, I'm going to try to create a video, actually a tutorial, so that I can remember.
So it looks like we've got that going there pretty well. I like to open up this third and fourth. That helps me out a little bit. And we are now going to bring in the next track. That's where we get into a few issues, because we need to pull the audio down to 4 and 5, and you can see now at this point why I needed to have the double tracks. Now I'll drag that down there to this track so that we can do transition at this point. Okay, now we'll do some editing just so we can cut off some of this stuff here of me walking through. There's no point of keeping it. So let's just go about right here.
Allison and Leonora, they choose to do it as well.
And right there we can.
Okay, here we go.
Let's just cut this back out. Here we go, right there. Of course, that is now apple slice. Get rid of that. And that's apple X. We know we've got the same kind of scenario going on over here because it's empty for a minute.
Okay, first.
And we're going to start it right.
Okay.
Take it right there. Apple slice. Apple X. Now this is where it plays off, because as you can see I'm moving it over to the track at this point. I'll just move this up a little bit so we can see it better. Okay, there we go. I'm going to slide this thing over here to create a transition. Pull this back. We're going to go ahead and just do a quick page turn. Let's just do a quick dissolve. And we will render that. And if you take a look at my monitor, you can see where I'm going right on up there, and let's see how we did. That's pretty much it, less the fact of just putting in some titles and so forth.
Okay, here we go. Okay, the first thing that I like to do is pull.
Here we go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is actually create a graphic, and I think that's Shift Open Graphic. And we're going to put a new title, and we're going to call this How to Make a YouTube Video. We're going to edit it. It's going to come up on Boris. We're going to type it in. How to make a YouTube video. And we're going to update it. We're going to apply it here. And that should be our first thing we see, and I'm going to put that on for about 5 seconds. And we'll just do a small little Shift Open Hold that takes that off. And so we pretty much have it at this point. Now we'll just have to continue to work throughout the whole process.
Okay, I'm going to try to create a video, actually a tutorial, so that I can remember how to. Okay,
now we've got the QuickTime movie that we did on the Mac back on the USB over here at the Dell PC. We now are sticking it in the main thing, and now we are going to upload a video, and there's our YouTube video. We double click it, and as you can see, it is now uploading to YouTube. At that point, we'll be able to look at it, we'll be able to embed it, we'll be able to create a DVD out of it, whatever is the best thing that we can do for YouTube and again to our client. So that pretty much is it. Okay, it looks like we're finally uploading on YouTube. That's pretty much the end of the tutorial itself, is getting it there so I can utilize it for my clients, personal stuff as well. A couple things to keep in mind is, number one, this particular video will probably just burn it on a DVD.